Maybe this might be one of the few things that we all collectively agree on, but I don't think the Somali clan system was designed to either run a modern day country or to compete in today's global economy. And part of the reason why I say this is because it was a system designed for survival. It was a way in which people cooperated in a non-rigid hierarchical system to protect one another, solve problems together, share resources, and spread risk. And it worked for centuries because, like I said, it was flexible and there was no rigid hierarchy and people cooperated. Elders gained respect by being capable and by being fair. Decisions were being made as a collective through a consensus, and in this way people were able to adapt very quickly to an otherwise unpredictable, harsh, unforgiving environments. Pastoral wealth was mobile and distributed, so if ever there was disease, drought, raids that had wiped out a herd, others were able to step in and help replenish. The problem that we have is that it's not that the clan system is ancient, it's that it's been pushed into an environment it was not designed for. When colonialism came, they didn't just take the land, they fundamentally rewired how our clan system worked. Colonial administrations, they wanted predictability, they wanted efficiency, and they wanted control. And so to achieve this, they mapped and they froze clan identities. They worked through elders and intermediaries. Economic reward and punishment was tied to clan affiliation, meaning that the clans who worked and cooperated with them, they got access to protection, trade routes, lands near towns, and early wage labour. Whereas those who resisted them, they lost access to markets, their wells were destroyed, grazing was restricted, and their livestock was confiscated. It was once a fluid social dynamic, hardened into fixed political categories. Identities became administrative, and belonging was either an asset or a liability, depending on where your clan stood in relation to power. Then came independence, but the system didn't go away. Instead, it was absorbed into the modern state. During the Cold War, Somalia was aligned with the Soviet bloc, and so she was receiving external funding that helped mask some of these tensions. Like I said, the clan dynamics were still there. The aid, the military support, the state employment meant that the government was able to redistribute these resources and manage competition. And so the external funding was buffering the scarcity that was there. And in a way, it gave the impression that the state / the system was a lot more stable than it truly was. Then when that external support collapsed in 1977 during the Ethiopia-Somali War, the illusion also collapsed with it. Aid dried up, and the state no longer had its main source of income, and it didn't have a diversified economy to fall back on either. So the scarcity was immediate and it was unforgiving. In a weak capitalist system where you've got fragile institutions, access to resources, whether that's aid, authority, land, job, contracts, they begin to flow through narrow, centralized channels. And in situations like that, it's not what you know, it's who you know or who you're related to that matters. Then the state collapsed in 1991, and clans became the only institution who were able to provide security, social insurance, and access. They were no longer safety nets. They were now working as gatekeepers, controlling who was able to pass through the doors of opportunity. So things like state jobs, aid, land, ports, trade routes, checkpoints, all came to be assets to be claimed. And survival depended on who held the keys and controlled access. Without inclusive markets, without public institutions, competition became zero-sum. So if we imagine a tightly packed bus, jam-packed, for every person who gets on, someone gets left behind. Someone's advantage is coming at the expense of another. There's no overall growth. And this is a pattern which economists call rent-seeking, which basically means that power is being gained through controlling access rather than by creating value. And in this kind of environment, the most reliable way to survive is through clan affiliation. So people, when resources are scarce, are turning towards the people that they trust who are holding these gates. So you can begin to appreciate that what we often dismiss as tribalism isn't cultural failure. It is people behaving rationally in an otherwise irrational, distorted system. People are behaving as they're supposed to behave in a broken economic system that was shaped by colonial disruption, Cold War dependency, and capitalist scarcity. Clan has adapted into this system in a way that deepens inequality. You've got people holding keys, locking other people out. The system rewards control over creation. And this is why I keep saying we need separation of clan and state. If we're going to continue using capitalism as our economic model, clan has to be removed from every corridor of power. Unless, of course, we're opting for a community-based system. If that's the case, that's good. If not, clan is going to continue being those locked gates on every path to opportunity, letting some people through while the rest remain stranded. Like, how often do we see people who are more than qualified being denied positions simply because of clan politics? Talent is ignored, potential rots, the Somali morale phrase, and the threads holding the Somali spirit together wear thin. Once upon a time, clan used to help us survive scarcity. It was our lifeboat in the storm. But today it's become the toll booth on every road to progress, letting some people through while the others remain stranded, keeping us stuck in this vicious cycle. As always, these are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.